This is Brooklyn's Alright if you like saxophones, a public access enlightenment showcasing the atoms that make up the wonderful structure that is our reality. Esoteric artists, tuneful conjurers, wise scribes, and record label tastemakers get a few basic questions to let them bring you in on the who, what, how, when, but you know where, because Brooklyn's alright. Welcome to Brooklyn's Alright. I have with me tattoo artist Liorcifer, and we're going to talk to him about his work. How you doing, Leo?
How you doing?
Tell him, when and why did you begin to create?
Create in general will be it's a good question. I would say just like all of us as a little kid, I was pretty much creating, but it wasn't full on, you know, it wasn't anything I was doing every day or anything like that. Just doodle once in a while, mess around with, like, you know, just sketching or whatever. I would say probably around 10 or 11 years old. I had a very good friend that was drawing. Mainly what we did there was more like copying drawings off, you know, album covers, stuff like that. We started doing a little bit on our walls and stuff with the grid and really fuck around with that kind of stuff. I would say, yeah, probably 10 or 11 years old. With the age, it probably really didn't take too long, maybe 2-3 years for me to really get so passionate about it that I started pretty much drawing every day. I don't know, 13, 14 years old, and basically started drawing every day and let it take off from there.
Did you have any schooling? Or is it all been just self-taught, like self-practice?
You know, schooling per se, you know, anything with like a credential, like art school or anything like that, no, not really. My grandfather always drew and painted, so he kind of gave me a few pointers here and there. With the years, I kind of got into the tattoo industry at a really young age. So with the years, I can't tell you I didn't really get schooling because I got professional apprenticeship from day one, and I've always surrounded myself by enough art and artists that I would get anywhere from like little tips and little, you know, pointers from more accomplished artists, whether they're painters or tattoo artists and stuff like that, to obviously the two people I apprenticed under gave me a little beyond the tattooing aspect and really concentrate a little more on the art and really open my eyes to a few more things. But an actual schooling, you know, the kind that you go and you learn how to do what you do, I didn't really do, you know. It's just like
it's more like paying your dues on the street than in school.
Pretty much, yeah. It was definitely a lot more. I mean, again, like every artist, you know, you surround yourself with art, you surround yourself with artists. So you can say, yeah, I didn't really go to school, but it happens to be, especially in the last few years and with time, that a few of my friends are actually teachers in art schools and stuff like that. So them giving me a pointer, sitting down painting with me would probably be considered as schooling, just because they obviously know exactly what they're doing and they know how to present it a lot more in a teacher sort of way and give you pointers on that. So
I like how you have the sort of contemporary as well as you like the masters just as much. I like that. It's
really, it's like you said, it's more of an eye-opener, and I think any artist in this world say it doesn't matter if you're. That's why it's really hard for me to say who's the artist that really I looked up to for that reason, because I'm an avid horror movie fan. You know, anywhere from the Italian guy from Baba and Fulci to Sam Raimi, you know, from them to Slayer, Mayhem, the black metal people, stuff like that, and to the old masters. You know, I think it all really comes together. Everything has its own inspiration. It doesn't matter if you see a dead pigeon down the street or actually listening to specific music, whatever it is that evokes it in you, I would consider as inspiration more than anything, you know.
Okay. I think it comes out in your artwork as well.
Thank you.
So why the transition, and when was the transition from creating art like sketches and painting to tattoos?
I actually started at a pretty young age. For some reason, in my airhead, I still remember it. I must have been 10 or 11 years old. Some restaurant in Israel. A couple of tourists from Europe sat down, covered with tattoos. I'm talking sleeves, not one or two. I couldn't really tell you. It could be shits, but the look itself really struck me back then. It took, since I was 10 or 11, needless to say, it took a few years to even convince my parents that I really wanted to get a tattoo. By the time I was 15, I got my first tattoo, and just like many kids or people or artists in general do, I too asked a tattoo artist, so what does it take to become a tattoo artist or get into the industry? And being the old school and the old timer that it used to be back then, it ended up in pretty much, shut up kid and turn around and just let me do my job. With time I started hanging out at the shop, I started getting a lot more tattoos, showing up at the shop once or twice a week to hang out, to help with drawing, to help clean the shop, do anything I could to really get my foot in the door, which made the guy realize sooner or later that I was very serious about it. Hanging out there and everything didn't drive me from it, but gave me even more passion to what I wanted to do. Suddenly my drawings became a little more tattoo oriented, and I actually went for it. And by the time I was like late 16, I started my apprenticeship. So because it was fairly young, like I said, I really grew into it, and I've paid many dues since then, and for good or bad, everything that's been happening my whole life, I've yet, instead of you know, a lot of stuff you try in life and you're like, okay, this is obviously not for me, or you don't have the passion and everything. For every blood, sweat, and tear I put into learning how to tattoo or doing it, tattooing is definitely a way of life, and my passion for it only grew bigger. So, been doing it pretty much since then, and if all goes well, if I'll be dying in the middle of a tattoo and the end of all this, then it'll be perfect.
To the end.
Yep.
So you were originally from Israel. Tell me how your travels have taken you, how tattooing has actually taken you.
Yeah, I grew up in Israel, unfortunately. You definitely don't pick and choose where you're born, needless to say. Israel, for good or bad, is a small place, it's very isolated. I know a lot of people think that it's really run by religion. That's not necessarily true. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a small place where I was always more of an outcast because of what I liked, because of the stuff, you know, whether you raise the Hail Satan flag or whether, whatever, you're drawing like scary stuff and listening to heavy music. Needless to say, we're always outsiders, but the difference is we're in a place in Israel, there's 100 of us, which is not enough of a voice for everybody to really pay attention, and unfortunately most of them grow out of it. In other places in the world, it's just that the population is bigger, where, come to the United States, yeah, we're still outcast, yeah, we might still be the 1%, but 1% of the United States is still enough people to make, to have a voice. They'll be sound, basically, and keep you living. So for years, I really tried to get the hell out of there, you know. I remember my mom telling me stories. I mean, my uncle moved here years ago, my cousin and everything, so I used to come and visit, and I remember even my mom telling me stories till this very day that even when I was a kid, I really wanted to move here. I wanted to break off from it because I felt very restricted in how far I can go in Israel, how much I can reach, and especially for my type of art, I knew that there was just no place to really do it. You know, there's not going to be enough people to really keep me doing what I'm doing. So I really kind of tried to get out of there for years. Came the time about 3 years after I actually started tattooing at 18. About 3 years later, got a phone call finally from Ami back then. He was working for Ken and Michelle down in Miami. Not that I would tell you that ever in my life I even thought I would end up in Miami of all places.
Doesn't seem like your type of place.
Nah, and I still spend entirely too much time then later on. But it was very good for what it was. It gave me made a phone call. He told me the job was there, no problem. A month later I was there and really started going from there. Like I said, it definitely gave me a very good idea of what people will look for in the States, how to deal with the clients there. It was definitely a good place to start and get your feet wet before you go wherever else you want to go, just to understand how that whole thing operates in the States. And Israel is Israel. Every country is like, at the end of the day, you might do the same thing, but it just works a little different. So I basically ended up there. Took about a year and a half. Chased Paul. I heard he was looking for a guy to work for him. Was getting tattooed by the guy. I basically moved up here to New York. Still took me about a year to even get a job with him. I worked with Kevin Q in Queens, one of my best friends. You know, again, really people that I couldn't ask for better. They really, after years of listening to it, I got to be a little closer in the hardcore scene and a few things like that. So it really opened my mind and my eyes to it. And then I got the gig with Paul, basically became his first apprentice ever. Stayed with him for close to 7 years till pretty much shit hit the fan. It was time to go. Then went on my own. Must have been, yeah, almost 5 years now.
And your own place is Tribulation Tattoos. Tell me.
Tribulation, yeah. It's not my own place. There's like 3 partners there. We've been working together for about 10 years now, all together. But yeah, it's like Dan Marshall, Tim Kern, and myself. I'm not gonna lie to you, I never really wanted to have my own business. I'm as far as it gets from a businessman. But like I said, one thing pushed to another. We went in as partners for that same reason. We don't like working alone, we like working with other people. Feed off each other's vibe for good or bad, you know, and we worked together for so long that we realized that would be the smart thing to do. Just went ahead and did it. It actually worked out smoother than we anticipated, for our luck. And yeah, just got into the whole hang of actually running our own operation, and whether I ever wished for it or not, whether I ever liked it or not, definitely had the last few best years of my life, and I'm glad that showed me once again that in life, you know, one thing leads to another. Just like bad thing can end up being the best thing in your life, and that's seems to be the way.
You're proof that if you work hard and persevere, keep going, you know.
At the end of the day, exactly. At the end of the day, you know, hardworking. That's one thing I must say about like the older generation. You know, love it or hate it, they're hardworking people. They have their integrity in place. Yeah. Whatever it is, you're sick, you're not sick, whatever. You don't have to kill yourself, but you have your mentality was a little different, right. You know. Yeah. When you had to drink at the end of the day back then was more because you deserved it and you knew you'll wake up in the morning to work again, not the other way around. So now, besides tattoo, you still create works of art. Tell me about some of the media that you work in now. I find myself, I mean, I've experimented in one thing or another throughout time, you know, anywhere from sculpting that I really suck at, but it's just really good for a 3-dimensional artist to really get a whole new concept of 3-dimensional objects. I find myself, the main things I've worked with is either charcoal, stuff like that, pastels, black and gray and color, oils, acrylics. That's like the main mediums that I work with. With the time, I mean, no matter what, creating is creating. You always, you know, whether you spit something on the page or whether you're going to town and doing Renaissance type art. I think for tattoo artists more than anything, creating another medium is one of the key things that you can do. Because when you get to the person's skin, when you get to your client's skin, there is no second chance.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's time to execute. That's time to really show what you got.
Have your best ready.
Exactly. The client is not gonna need to think twice, is he having a good day or a bad day or whatever. And what better way to do it than practice on canvas, practice on paper. That it's not gonna have to live with it for the rest of their life. It's a whole different ball game. You can still erase stuff. You can learn a lot. And needless to say, especially in the last few years, you can really see how much a lot of people came to this industry from a really good education and background of fine arts, and it's really amazing how much they bring to the table. Where again, there's the whole concept of what will make a good tattoo, but they bring so many techniques, anywhere from colors and theories and stuff like that to actual techniques that they do in paintings and stuff. When you bring that to the table, it really helps to break off from stuff that otherwise, if you really follow the ABC of tattooing, you're gonna reach only that far, you know.
So what artistic pieces are you currently working on?
At this time, I think the one thing that's pretty much almost done is saw blade I'm working on. Doing acrylics on it. I've done quite a few of them. It really got a good reaction with the year, so I kept on doing. Actually, the last one I did before this was the biggest project I've done so far. It was actually a 4-piece with 4 blades, which the main one was really big. It's about 27 inch across.
For someone who's unaware, what are your blade paintings?
It's just straight up acrylic painting on a round saw blade. Like I said, it came to me quite a few years ago. I don't think it's been 10 years so far, but it was just an idea that I saw once. You know, again, I saw the round saw blade. I really liked the shape and everything, and I was like, alright, let's try to tackle this and do a painting that kind of resembles something as if a victim got hit by one of those. Started that. Got really good reaction. I'm very harsh on myself critically about what I do, and I think this was actually one of the only times I really looked at something I did and I'm like, that's not a bad idea. You know, not that I was pleased with the results, but I was like, the idea kind of struck me. Been doing that ever since then. I've painted on anywhere from machete to meat cleavers to tiny blades, big blades, and like I said, the last one was a really big one because it was a piece combined out of a few of them. So yeah, I have one of those. I always have, since then, I basically always have different kind of like saw blades laying around, different sizes, and whether I'll do them for a specific show or whether I'll just do them for the fun of it, but I've been collecting quite a few of them with the time, different shapes, different ideas. Just finished a black and gray charcoal piece for a book for Germany. It's actually going to go to an auction. Can't remember exactly the detail, but it's something that goes to, I think, like autistic kids or something like that. We've done quite a few of those throughout the years from the tattoo industry.
And your work goes into a book and it goes up for auction as well?
Yeah, we basically do, I can't remember how many. I've done probably 4 or 5 of those so far, and yeah, it's either going as a project that goes eventually, it's going to be in a book. It's a collection of different artists from around the world doing a specific piece of art, usually on whatever subject they may want. This one was about skulls. And what they do is they actually take the original artwork, do a really big opening in a gallery, which all the proceeds go to charity. And then they go out and put the book.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that's another piece I just finished. And the next big project is actually going to be a fairly big oil painting. I haven't actually worked with oil in quite a while, and that specific painting, the original sketch that I did, was full-on, full-page sketch in, I think, 96 or 95 back in Israel tripping on acid. And one of those
stuck with you this long?
It stuck with me because that whole thing was kind of, I called it destiny just because it was kind of like the back of a guy's head, a couple of eyeballs, almost like a look into his mind, and he's looking at some type of zombie, and whatever background may be, I keep changing it with the years. But the idea is, again, like a look into the artist's mind. That specific piece, exactly because it came at the time that I drew it from as deep as I could reach into my own head. 2001, I found myself doing that piece again. Fairly good size, I can't remember, like in acrylics. And I actually wanted a few years ago already to go ahead and do the next one and do this in oils. But because I waited so long, because it's been a while since I did oil, I decided to actually tackle this and try to make a really big one. But just like the rest of my artwork, and especially on that size, and because of my hectic travel schedule, I'll be happy if this thing will be done in the next 2 years. Just because, like I said, I'm a little more perfectionist. As I told you before, I don't have much schooling, so when I do fine art, there's a whole lot of trial and errors, mainly errors, and keep backpedaling, stuff like that.
Live and learn.
Pretty much, yeah.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing it. What does the future have in store for Liorcifer?
That's a good question. Future alone is a good question. It's been crazy. It's been one crazy roller coaster ride. I've been the last 4.5, almost 5 years, I spent about, I would say on average, 50% of my time is on the road. Last year.
Why are you on the road?
Well, it really opens your mind. It really shows you so much. First of all, I mean, yeah, for years I've worked and got enough of a reputation for what I do. Specific style and everything. Once you have that style, it's very nice when you're actually sought after. And if you're sought after and can go and do a tattoo convention or a guest spot anywhere in the world and actually at least cover your ass and cover the trip, then why not? Basically, that was a part of the deal for years. I was looking forward. I saw other artists and did it way before me. And with the years, it actually became a reality. The last 5 years, it's been a really strong reality. So even like last year, I've reached, I think, like 5 different countries that I haven't been to yet, including Transylvania and Eastern Europe and other places that, first of all, the artists. There's so many amazing artists that cannot afford or cannot go to one place or another. It's amazing to meet those people. My best friends in this world are not really around me. They're like all over the place. So it's really nice for me to meet those people, to come to where they are, to see what they do, because again, no picture will do justice, doesn't matter if it's a painting or a tattoo. So to see people walk around with like fully sleeved and stuff by artists that I haven't even heard about, that's a big eye-opener. Beyond that, again, it's just like traveling does to anybody. It really opens your mind to things, to different kind of... If you think you sit at home and watch TV or have a couple of friends on Facebook from bumfuck nowhere in the world and it makes you like open-minded and you know what you're doing, you're far from the truth. Going out there, seeing different cultures, seeing different things, seeing anything that there is to be seen, you know, anywhere from the first time I went to Rome and I almost shit my pants just because it was like I've saw all this stuff my whole life in books.
And now you got
there it is. Yeah. It's like right in front of you. So altogether, it's just like one big experience. And again, we live once. I got to that point that I can do it. But why the hell not? You know what I mean? I've reached so many people and places that I've never even dreamt of that I'll be at. And I got to that point that I can actually afford or do it, you know, and do it right. So
you're going to keep traveling, keep working on art?
Pretty much, yeah. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. I mean,
just keep going steady?
Keep producing is definitely what it comes down to. Whether it's here, different country, different corner, different whatever. Whether it's being jet lagged for about 5 years straight now, that's fine. It's like I said, at the end of the day, once you pass the border and everything, you're actually there, it's worth it all. It's really, I've been nothing but happy for where I reach, you know. I've been nothing but grateful for, I know a lot of people talk shit one thing or another. It's like, one thing I can say about the tattoo industry that I've spent more than half of my life in already is, if exactly like you said earlier, you work hard, you put your time into it, you give the respect where respect is due and do things the right way, it will give you a lot in return. It will give you a lot back, and it's still a pretty small community, but because of that, I can make a phone call today, and it's not because who I am, it's because I travel enough and meet people, and I can make a phone call in Timbuktu and do a couple of tattoos and stay at somebody's house there and chill for a few days just because that's really what it is. I mean, you've been in a band, you know the drill. It's no different than going with a couple of friends in a van and hoping that one day you can go in a real bus. That's pretty much it. You still want to go out there and do it and sit at home for about a month or two. You're like, oh, alright, keep going. Yeah, it's like something is missing. So As long as I can, yeah, I'll definitely keep doing what I'm doing, you know, wherever it's gonna bring me. Hell if I know.
And I'm glad you are where you are, and I'm glad you're going to keep going with it. I'd like to thank Liorcifer for coming on.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at some of Liorcifer's work.
Fra første stund det vårt. Før noen har fortalt det, at det snø og granskog, har det plass I oss. Og siden det der. Hele tida. Med drypp fond kring mørke tre. Det for oss. Innblandet I vår egen ande. Hele tida. Om ingen ser det, har vi snø og granskog med. Ja, lia med snøen, og tre ved tre, så langt en ser. Var vi finner vi mot det. Og har I oss en lovnad om å komme hjem. Komme hjem. Gå borti der. Bøyge greiner.